everyone! Flossie here, back in action for more Old Bailey attraction. That's right, we're coming near the end of our particular trial to defend our Nipponi's friend. Or at least it feels that way to me. I don't know. Suffice to say, we have guesstimated perpetrator of the crime. But why, how, and when, we don't quite know. If at all possible. The 23rd of February, 11:32 a.m., the Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Joyful jubilation, jumping jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you. Locomotive student Mr. Naruto Esquire, and non-locomotive judicial assistant Miss Mikotobo Esquires. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Ah! Herlock Sholmes! May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent! I thought the tea was innocent. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came. How wonderful. Please, save your duration. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your face. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my compatriots. Such a spirited ambition has a beauty of all of its own, does it not? Oh, yes. And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep? I queried. Why, time after time do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me all at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is it not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink at all last night. And the results? By first light, I was exhausted, began to be assailed by a fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others suppose I provide by experimentation? That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah, yes. And one more thing. Do you remember this? Yes, of course. It's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task, as the bottle was nearly empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I managed to confirm that it contained citronide. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course, such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Okay. Why did he think we were gonna lick it? Oh, could I have a word? Grayson, how good of you to come. I'll get it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector! I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. The look on your face, I'd say it's someone else you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the results, Inspector? Of the investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspeare's room? A man by the name of... yes, Selden. I went through the archives at the yard and dug out the fellow's file. Something in there that... well, it caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector? What? I've copied out the relevant parts for you, so you can read it all for yourselves. Thank you. What a nice inspector. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper clipping that we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. We rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Are you giving us a copy of this important file, though? Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? Just making things get handled in a proper fashion. Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful. Indeed, my dear fellows, the inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. A shining diamond in the rough, maybe? Look, I just don't want to be beholden by a lawyer. That's all. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all. Certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Slums. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache floods of tears, personally. So, the best of luck to you. Look about it, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire! Yes, Mr. Natsume? It's time, isn't it? Yes, this is it. Miss Olivia Green, Mr. William Shamspeare. It's going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Sasuke-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. It's all coming to a head now. You do it, Renosuke. You have to. We always gotta. Oof, oof, oof. The 23rd of February, 12:30 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense, namely that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago is the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from dubious eastern shores. Thank you! That backhanded consideration. Rather cold assessment for the honorable British prosecutor, I must say. Though Lord Von Zeeks is the new witness present and ready to take the stand. Ready and waiting for the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Bailiff, bring the witness in. Oh, they're both there. Witnesses, state your names and occupation for the court, please. William Shamspeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words.
I'm Olivia Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose.
Also currently unemployed, in other words. What a coterie. Mr. Shamspear. My lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. The possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant, intent on taking the life of your fellow Lodgington. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would have naught else, my lord. And Miss Green.
Yes?
You are aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume.
Yes, the officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon.
I like her so much, she's so cute. And do you accept the charge, Miss Green?
I don't know anything about any poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man.
Come, lady, die to live.
Verily, I know not thy prickly, pea-pigmented personage.
Very well. Let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being an assertion whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair.
Well, very strange. Very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely even go to the East End anyway. It so happens that I passed by the neighborhood 6 days ago. That's all. On the night that this man was poisoned, I was still in hospital, fighting for my life.
Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in an incident on the street outside the Garberton household. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days.
I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife. No fault of my own. And now I'm under suspicion? What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing.
Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shamspear's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why. We would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened.
Oh no! Incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful incident?
Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested to hear from you about your movements that day, too, Mr. Shamspear. But what happened 6 days ago has nothing to do with me being poisoned. Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court. On the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road the evening of the 17th of February. The evening of 17th February.
It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow when I suddenly stabbed in the back. But incidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men, in this case, have their lodgings.
I was at the tavern of the eve of which thou speakest, where I had bespoke my supper.
It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to the hospital. I knew nothing about all of this business.
Yes, a second incident inside a week at what I believe to be amply described as the haunted lodgings. One could only presume that this is the most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shamspear. Was the following morn when I did awaken that I learned of the dire events. Mary, what a commotion did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine? Mr. Suki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there's nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance. But I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here. I feel certain of it. This is my one and only chance to expose it. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. So, we didn't get to hear everything that she was doing that day. She kind of went past it. So that's where I'm gonna be hitting at. I'm gonna be hitting there. Yeah, this is all stuff that doesn't matter so much. Neither does his. But what was a little matter? You had to attend.
Hold it!
What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate.
It was nothing, really. It's not worth mentioning.
If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital. It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross.
What does that matter?
What?
This was nothing to do with Duncan.
Excuse me.
Pursue. Mr. Shamspear, do you have something to share with the court? To be or not to be? That is the question. Oh, pray forgive me. The great Baron's words springeth from within me with nary a thought. Don't tell me it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Read Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps? Well, nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though? Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean? After all, we're both lodgers in the same house. I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodgings be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodgings fellows be barely known to me. So you haven't heard of him? Even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours? Miss Green.
Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong?
The card that was mentioned before, containing the note. Do you have it upon your person?
I do, yes. But I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really.
Will you dispose of it? The court will take it as evidence, please. Oh? Of course. That's what links Mr. Shamspear and Miss Green. It's Duncan Ross! Now continue over testimony, please, Miss Green. Straight till I knew nothing about all the business. Okay.
Oh, Miss Naruto, you pursued Mr. Shamspear wonderfully there.
It's worked out well, hasn't it? We have a new clue at least. Alright, now I need to pull off a real insightful objection somewhere.
Well, as you managed to expose this promising new angle, I wonder if you should perhaps try to develop that.
Ah, yes, of course! Kneeling on objections isn't necessarily the best way to do that, I suppose. So, are we supposed to get him as well? Okay, why was he at the tavern, though?
Hold it!
A tavern, you say? Which one? Twas the Slug and Salad where I did dairy. 'Tis a jewel at the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel. Hmm? What do you mean, Lord Van Zeeks? The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining. For locality, at least. Not an establishment you expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room. It's true. The menu lists premium crust of bread and glasses of water, in different levels of cloudiness. I would expect Grub's Grubbery in the local vicinity to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush. All equally appetizing. I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that? Different can water really be? Perhaps there's a more plausible explanation? A specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment? Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days, he dined at a place he wouldn't normally does stand out. But Mr. Shanspere's own actions of the day of that incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. I wonder if we have some evidence that can explain those actions. Yes, we do. Mr. Shanspere! Yes, sire! On that day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad? A place you don't normally patronize? For a very particular reason? I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speaketh. Very well, I will present the court with evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day. Namely... Yeah, this.
Take that!
Oh, good Horatio. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Horatio? I believe it's a line from Shakespeare's play, Hamlet, Mr. Nardo. Be in line for the great Shakespeare, or from this. Mr. Shanspere, the message is the same. My lonely Nipponese friend is wide of that mark. Really surprising, given this witness's obtuse literary quotes. I do wonder if there isn't perhaps some evidence that would explain why it was the Slug and Salad he visited. Yeah, there should be, but I probably need to like actually look at that shit a little more. Like, why is it torn this way? The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? The screen strikes me as the type to open correspondent more neatly than that. Ah! What is it? The way the envelope is torn. I'm almost certain I've seen the exact same shape somewhere else. Oh! You don't mean... Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Nazano? Exactly. That's it. Try to match them up. There we go. They go together perfectly. This torn off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. Oh, there we go. See, that's what I had to do that. It's found in Shanspere's room. So we could probably put the found in Shanspere's room part. So we were like half right in this. Okay, yes, let's just turn the witness statement, please. We had to go back to it because that's what we want. Nope, back here.
Hold
You have to keep pressing it and just like go with it. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, you did all those things. We believe you. We do have evidence. Come on. We're so close. Present. Yeah, we got evidence for you, bud. We got him on the roof to the point that he's like all scared and everything. That's never a good sign for them.
Take that!
Oh, it's... Oh, good, thank goodness. Oh. This torn off piece of envelope reveals the answer. Because it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the card that was submitted into evidence earlier. But Lord, Miss Green's card, you mean? That's right, my lord. It reads... I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Under the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter, or the meeting. It's a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shanspeare, you're actually on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing. Are exactly as described in this note. Personally, I find it hard to believe that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shanspeare? Well...
Excuse me, can I say something?
Yes, Miss Green?
That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it?
Well, you think so, yes, but it's hard to believe. It's merely...
My lord, may I?
May you what, Miss Green?
I'd like to make something very clear about that card.
Very well, then. You may amend your testimony to include details about that particular note.
This note was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man next to me.
What?
Hold it!
I think you said you received it the day before the incident, didn't you?
Yes, that's right.
There appears to be no indication of the sender's name or address on the envelope.
It was in my letterbox, and that's all I know, I'm afraid. I have no idea who sent it.
I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Who is this Duncan Ross, please?
A friend of mine. He attended the same art school as I do. He passed away in a tragic accident a month ago now. Wasn't sure what to make of that note, to be honest. But in the end, I decided to go.
He found out what the information was?
Of course I didn't. You're not thinking straight.
Well, he is certainly not straight, madam. Have you seen the man that Kit was dead before him? I'm sorry, I just had to. Because, like, honestly, that was pretty fucking gay. Whilst on her way there, she was stabbed in the back, as my learned friend hopefully remembers. Yes, of course!
You never made it to the meeting? Oh, Mr. Nanador! You pursued Mr. Shanspeare wonderfully there. It's worked out well.
It's worked out well, hasn't it? Oh yeah, it's all the same. All the same. We're close, but we haven't quite got there yet. And it seems like she just stopped us on this shit. That's wild. There's nothing to do with the man next to me there. So, what can we present that would make that so? What if we look at this? Examine. Died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final moments witnessed only by his cellmates. The estimated 1,000 pounds. Loot. Manchester Stageway announced the death of the murderer, seldom by natural causes and early morning. They have been suffering from fever, alerted by the shouts of his fellow inmates, medical staff. So none of that. This note was delivered to my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man next to me. Do we have anything to indicate that it actually does have something to do with him? Because it was found in Shamspear's room. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's go ahead and press other spots that we haven't pressed before. I was walking along the road with some of this stuff. Okay, let's press this. I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry I had to go through that.
It wasn't awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. I woke up to find that the case had been solved. The culprit arrested.
Yes, the incident has been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended up with you awakening, and should now be forgotten.
Yes, I suppose so. Thank you.
But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day, for us to arrive at the truth about this new case.
Trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. We're just walking along the pavement.
It happened just outside the house where the men in the case. Yes. Okay.
Hold it!
What were you doing there that day, though?
What do you mean?
The art school you attend. What's it called?
Yes. It's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts.
According to Mr. Sloane's,
That's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 stops away from the scene on the underground.
I believe you mentioned before that you also live on Brixton Road. Isn't that right? So why then would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End?
Well, it's because, oh yes, of course. Thought it might make a nice picture.
The witness is a student of art. City-dwelling artists can't all paint grand urban vistas.
That's right. I happen to like the crumpy look of that part of town.
Perhaps quaint would have been less granting term. Point is, she's definitely hiding something.
Yes. It seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth.
She's trying to hide why she was there that evening. It must mean there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shamspear? On the evening of the incident 6 days ago? Would you tell the court what exactly you were doing? It would be my pleasure, sire. Okay, we already did that one. We did that one. Can we... I think we do have to press the fact that it was this one here. If not, I don't know. Right? The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. Upon carrying on the instruction on the note, you found yourself in the hospital.
Yes, I did. It's terrible. Everything that's happened to me.
Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is.
What do you mean?
Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's a torn off end of an envelope.
Oh, is it?
And it so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received.
Where did you find that?
In Mr. Shamspear's room. In my room? Mr. Shamspear. Do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere? Well... Your actions that afternoon followed instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. And so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shanspear. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green?
What did I do?
As this torn-off end of the envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shanspear's room. So how is it that it came into your possession?
I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist after all.
There is only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shanspear's room and stole it. You did what? Sorry? Thou hast what? I mean, there were in my room? What on earth do you want with me? It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. Miss Green.
Yes.
Whilst you have the cold sympathy unshed for the suffering you have endured in recent events, anyone found to be giving false testimony in the court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind.
Yes, I know.
Very well then, witness. You will give formal testimony again now. On the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note Miss Green claims to have received. With all that being said, that will be the ending of today's mystery, as we look on for the next time with the anomaly of the note. Until then, like, comment, subscribe if you can. Sayonara. Bye-bye.